G'day Pittsburgh Steelers fans, Matty P here with another episode of Steelers Touchdown Under. This episode is part of a two-part series, one on the offense, one on the defense. We are looking at the depth chart. That's right, a depth chart. As it stands today, if the Steelers needed a 53-man depth chart starters take the field, this is what it would look like. Why are we doing this? I'm doing this now because it will give you a sense of where there are still gaps or opportunities to really improve this roster, or where the Steelers actually really do need to improve this roster. As much as we give them credit for some of the free agent pickups, credit for some of the draft class, there is still opportunity to make sure that this roster is fighting fit for 2025. All right, let's get into the defense first. You know what? Let's do something a bit different. It's probably natural to want to do the offense. I want to do the defense. I want to do the defense because that's a lot of where the Steelers draft class sat this year when the picks. So everyone things up on there right now. And I know that I'm going to get some comments in the chat as soon as, or in the comment section, as soon as I've done that. Totally get it. Bear with me while I'm explaining. Obviously the yellows are the starters there. Now this is I've like done a top row. When you look at cornerback, this obviously you're gonna have at least two cornerbacks on the field. It's gonna be Joe Porter, it's gonna be Darius Slade. Just let it be what it would be. I'm just breaking it out when you're looking at these positions as the best bloke there. Now, start off, actually we'll talk about special teams. I go Boswell, Waitman, Kuntz. I think they're more likely to keep Waitman after what he did in cheaper, but that's just me. That's the special teams, is what it is. Let's go. There are 28 blokes on the screen in front of you right now as well, so that leaves 25 guys when we go and talk about the offense. Secondly, there are some positions here that I think we're overweighted right now, and others that will, I think, need some development, or there's a serious consideration with a fan favorite on this list. But we're going to go through it position group by position group. We're going to go defensive linemen as a group. We're going to go outside linebacker as a group. We're going to go inside linebacker. We'll go cornerback, safety. That's how we're going to crack it. Let's kick off with defensive linemen, as I said. So, I think Benson, Haywood, and Harmon are your three locks. I'd like to think Logan Lee can fight his way onto a roster spot. I think Wire Black as well. They drafted him for a reason. I do think he's on the roster. That's 5 blokes, right? There's 7 on this list. They're going to carry at least 6. They may choose to carry 7. I think Loudermilk probably has it over Lowry at this point. I say that because they brought him back. There's more upside, and he can play on the inside, whereas you can move, Logan Lee's more of a defensive end, and Harmon, you can move him outside, as well. So I think, he's probably going to play outside based on some of the comments we've heard with Benton still in the interior. So I think Loudermilk and Black probably makes sense for now if you're taking 6. If you're taking 7, then I think you're keeping Lowry there, right? And as I said, there's 28 guys on the page in front. There's 3 special teamers. There's 25 guys on defense right now. When you look at the outside linebacker position, we'll do that first. I've got 4 blokes there. I think all 4 of those blokes are on the roster. The other part too is Malik Harrison, and you can play him on the outside too. So I kind of think that's pretty much set. Now, people talk about Jeremiah Moon. I don't think he's eligible this year with the way the practice squad works. Maybe you do have him if one of the inside guys isn't there. And just remember, Sawyer, you could use potentially, depending on what size he does come in at, you could use him as an end, but it doesn't really fit that in a 3-4. I do think the outside linebackers, that's pretty much what you're going to see week 1 start of the season, unless there's an injury. On the inside, who knows what we're going to get in Holcomb? Do I think you're going to sit there with Queen, Wilson, Harrison, and Bruner? I think they'll find someone else through this training camp as different guys are cut to come in as well, unless Holcomb's really showing, he's back ready to go through all the preseason. So I think inside linebacker is probably, all the defensive positions we've talked about so far. Don't get me wrong, I could still bring some experience at DTDE. Obviously, they've just released Montravius Adams. But I do think they're more likely in this instance. The middle linebacker is probably one I wouldn't mind seeing what they're going to do more in depth as well. Cornerback is an interesting spot. Now, I have 5 guys there, and I have 9 defensive backs if you include Killebrew, who's really a special teamer at this point. Cornerbacks, like, I've put the guys there that they've got. Now, if you look at the 5 and you go Slay, Porter, Bishop, Trice, not too bad, but I'd be more comfortable with Trice was the 5th guy. I'd be more comfortable with that, had a bit more experience in there. And I got Kent there. I think Kent, I feel like he probably still ends up, despite the punt return stuff, and we'll talk about other punt returners, I still kind of feel like he ends up on the practice squad. But if they keep him there, then maybe that's where, if like a Holcomb's fit, Bruno ends up on the practice squad. But I do think your top 3 this year are Slay, Porter, Bishop. I would like more experience in there. I think cornerback's another one where they could add some talent. I don't want to see Cam Sutton back. Then you get to safety. Now, this is really interesting because they got a guy, Castro, out of Iowa, who I really liked as a UDFA. I think safety is one where I would like to see a bit more talent there. I don't think Jalen Elliott's the guy from last year. I don't think Kazi bringing him back does anything. So I'm going to be interested to see how the Steelers shape this up. You kind of, though, need, particularly if you're only going to carry 5 cornerbacks, you need really 4 safeties or 4 defensive backs, 4 safeties that can be part of a 9-man defensive back unit or secondary unit. Killebrew doesn't really offer that. And so, I'm not saying it's going to happen with what he does in special teams. I know he's special teams captain, all the rest of it. But if they were to cut a guy like Miles Killebrew, I would totally get it. The other thing that I think you could see out of this list is that with the versatility of Thornhill and Elliott in the slot, and Bishop can play outside, I could see them removing Kent, right? Still bringing a corner. But I'd say with removing Kent, bring in another safety, and then you're looking at some really interesting sort of packages and sets. But given they went out, and I would have said that particularly last year where Deshaun Elliott can go in the slot, then you bring in another strong safety. But with adding Julian Thornhill, I kind of still think they need to go traditional on the corner versus going to get another safety and then having one of these guys adapt. It's a really interesting situation right now. And so when you look at it, I kind of think, if you look at these position groups, we kind of talk through them as safeties, corners, outside linebackers, middle linebackers, defensive linemen. We've got 2 that I think are pretty set, as I said, in defensive linemen and outside linebackers. But the other 3 spots, and I think safety is probably more close to being set, the middle linebacker and cornerback are definitely 2 areas where, as I say, I don't think you should be surprised to see the Steelers do some business between now and the start of the season. And I want them to bring in people that can contend there. Part of me hopes that Orlando Roberts gets cut, we bring back him. But if we can get a fit Holcomb, oh man, that is a great unit there. Absolutely. So I do like that. But I do think there's a bit of talent to come in here to make sure that there's more talent and more depth. I like the youth that's on this page. I do think safety, they're gonna have to at some point pick a young guy here, and that's why I'd like to see what maybe DeCastro can do. And if Elliott could make it last year onto the roster, Jalen Elliott, I definitely think that Sebastian Castro out of Iowa can make this roster. So that's my take of the Steelers playing today. This is their special teams and defensive guys, 28 men. You let me know in the comments, do you agree with me on the positions that are weakest? Is there a player out there that you'd really like me to bring in? I'm going to do some content on that in the weeks to come. Is there a position do you think defensive lineman is set? Do you think outside linebacker is set? You let me know in the comments. But I'm Matty P. As always, go Steelers.